What's up, everybody? We are back with another video. This time, it's my season of Splicer thoughts and kind of grade and review about it. So, season of the Splicer is pretty much officially ended at this point. We've got some thoughts that I'd like to talk about. First up is the seasonal activity in the form of Override. Override, I would say, was decent at best. It was pretty much just the contact event from Season of Arrivals, but the boss fight got moved into the Vex network instead of out in the open in the public area. Since it was just a reskinned activity, that meant it was another season filled with Gambit mechanics, which at this point I am tired of and makes me want to play the real Gambit even less. Override did at least have 4 different arenas on Europa, the Moon, the Tangled Shore, and in the last city for the last 2 weeks of the season. Honestly, the arenas just kind of pissed me off more than anything. The placements were so odd for the activity visuals, like the little Vex boxes and stones and everything, and enemy spawns that I would end up getting stuck on stuff constantly and had to run around to fight, the aliens that we're trying to kill. I enjoyed the new arenas for about the first 2 or 3 clears, mainly because it was a switch up, something new, included a new boss fight and new mechanics, but after that I didn't have much will or want to play. Also, enemy density was not enough for a 6-player activity, not even close, especially we just got away from Battlegrounds. I would say the only good thing from Override itself was the dedicated chest at the end, and then the second locked chest for the extra rewards. After Override, we got to experience the Expunge Missions, which ended up being nothing like we thought they were going to be. Looking at you, Presage. But overall, I did enjoy the Expunge Missions a little bit more than the Override activities, mainly due to the platforming sections, puzzles, and actually the unique boss fights. Even though the boss fights were a little too easy, could melt them pretty fast. It was also a nice change when the Expunge Missions actually evolved with the story, turning into the corrupted expungers and added in a corrupted chest for some extra loot. Other reason I did like the expunge stuff is because that's how we actually find and kill Quoria, which was the main villain this season and somebody that we have been hearing about since Forsaken. But also how they implemented the first 3 expungers into the final one to kind of create one large and somewhat a more complex expunge. Definitely made a more pleasant experience and kind of like that wow factor when we first loaded in. Story did have me hooked to the majority of the season, but not for the reason most would think. I think the alliance with the Elixni and the character development and having to rely on Mithrax to teach us how to enter the Vex network was definitely awesome. But mainly I got on each week to find out what the hell was gonna happen with the evil robot lady Lakshmi. As happy as I am to have her die in the end, I wish we would have actually seen it on screen during gameplay and stuff instead of just over a broadcast, and maybe have her body be a little bit more noticeable, since I didn't see it the first couple times I ran the last city Override. I understand that Lakshmi dying allowed Bungie to get rid of the factions to have people stop asking about the faction rallies, but it seems so far out of left field, especially since for Dead Orbit, they were never brought up during the season. Not once did Dead Orbit come alive at all, except the last sentence from my core, which makes no sense. It also would have allowed Dead Orbit and New Monarchy to gain more followers and become even bigger, or just to open the door for Lysander and the Concord Dat to arrive and, mess some shit up. On a completely different note, I'm so freaking tired of the 6x3 grid that we have to unlock each and every season. Don't get me wrong, it was good for the first season or 2 since it was new, but at this point it has overstayed its welcome for far too long. I won't mind maybe one more season of it within Season of the Lost. I can do that, it's fine, I'm mentally prepared for it. But I do not want it in the Witch Queen at all. Bungie just needs to come up with something new, And obviously, I've got no clue what a new system would be, but it'd be very welcoming for many players. I'm also kind of tired about having the new exotics being locked behind Legend and Lost sectors. While I don't want them to just be handed out like they were in Year 1, which made no sense, I think that it could be improved upon to make the stuff a little bit more accessible for someone less skilled and they can't finish a Legend Lost sector. Obviously, that is an overall game thing and not season specific, and I'll keep mentioning it every season. I did a video about it before. That in itself just needs to change. The change for the season pass with the move, with the season armor being taken out of it and into the seasonal activity, was a nice change per se. But I would like to at least have a full set in the pass, just like one set. Like, put it at a base total stats of 48. I don't care, because I had to rely so much on RNG just to get the class item, which took way too long. Obviously, Bungie mentioned that there was a bug with the class items not dropping, and they fixed that. But just have one there, especially now that Transmog's there, have a 48 stat that I can unlock that if I want to use it. And then I can just earn it in the activity and hope for better rolls. We'll see. I'm assuming that's what they're going to keep doing with Season of the Lost, but we'll see here in a couple hours. Having Vault of Glass come back was definitely nice, and the changes within were some good changes, and made this season feel more full of content than what it would be without, obviously. The only thing I have to complain about VOG coming back is how the Pinnacle reward was removed from Deepstone Crypt. I understand keeping Pinnacles to a certain amount of activity so we don't level up too fast, but a new raid should be Pinnacle until the next new raid comes out. And like, the returning raid can also have Pinnacles, but both should be, because people are gonna play the old raid or the new, like, brand new raid for at least a year. So make it worth their while of actually playing it. It never made sense to me why they removed that out. And I would have thought after the backlash within the community that they would have added that back in. But guess not. We'll see what happens. Maybe that's just going to be the new way that it is for a couple years. Brand new raid, Pinnacle for 6 months, returning raid, Pinnacle for the next 6 months, and then keep going. But moving on to score. Overall, I would give this Season of the Splicer an 8 out of 10. Mainly for the storytelling. The 2 points lost just for overall override activity. It just wasn't there. Not a lot of stuff's hit the mark lately for seasonal activities. It's gonna occupy us for 3 months. Be a little bit more entertaining compared to a couple hours that we will play it for. But that is all I have for today's video. If you're watching this right at the release, head over to Bungie's YouTube or Twitch and watch the reveal for Witch Queen and the Season of the Lost. That will be an hour after this video goes live. Otherwise, you can probably catch it as like a VOD on those places as well. I'll be uploading a video about my reaction to the reveal stuff. But until next time, Guardians, stay safe. We got some aliens to shoot.